Jessica Daly's mysterious premonition. In New Jersey, a story of intuition and faith has emerged after a toll booth attendant narrowly avoided being caught in a devastating accident. Jessica Daly, who works at the Barnegat Toll Plaza along the Garden State Parkway, experienced what she described as a powerful premonition that ultimately spared her from serious harm. On the morning of the incident, Jessica was jolted awake by a strong gut feeling. She later explained that it felt like something terrible was going to happen if she went to work that day. At 4 o'clock in the morning, she received what she described as a second warning, a vivid impression that she was going to be involved in a car accident if she left home. The intensity of these feelings was unlike anything she had experienced before, and she made the decision to call out of her shift. Just hours later, her worst fear played out. A garbage truck lost control and slammed into the toll booth Jessica typically worked in. The crash caused an explosion of debris that hit a nearby pickup truck and the toll plaza itself. Another toll booth attendant and the driver of the pickup suffered serious injuries as a result. When Jessica learned about what had happened, she was overwhelmed with emotion. Her immediate reaction was to drop to her knees and cry, praying both for those who had been hurt and in gratitude for the warning that kept her away. She expressed deep sorrow for the victims while also acknowledging the extraordinary nature of what had happened. Jessica believed without doubt that the warnings she received were a form of divine intervention. Her mother, Jennifer, echoed this sentiment, suggesting that her daughter's instinct was either a guardian angel or a spiritual premonition sent to protect her. At the same time, she admitted the family struggled with mixed emotions, grateful for Jessica's safety, but heartbroken for those who were not spared. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority later confirmed that the injured toll worker had been released from the hospital, though the state police investigation into the cause of the crash remains ongoing. For Jessica, the experience reinforced her faith. In the past few months, she had been deepening her relationship with God, and she now sees the experience as evidence of His protection. The day after the crash, Jessica bravely returned to her post at the toll plaza. For her, the experience was more than a close call. It was a reminder of the mysteries of intuition, faith, and unseen guidance. She continues to work, carrying both the gratitude of being spared and the sorrow for those who were hurt that morning. The story of Jessica Daly stands as a reminder that sometimes warnings come in ways that cannot be explained by logic alone, and that listening to an inner voice can mean the difference between tragedy and safety. It is a story that highlights the power of faith, the mystery of premonition, and the delicate line between chance and destiny. The strange case of the Old Montreal fire. The fire that engulfed a heritage building in Old Montreal on the 16th of March 2023 remains one of the most haunting tragedies in recent Canadian history. 7 people lost their lives, among them academics, tourists, and long-time residents, yet 2 years later, no criminal charges have been laid. What began as a night of terror has evolved into a drawn-out pursuit of accountability, leaving families in anguish and a community searching for answers. Among the victims was Nathan Sears, a 35-year-old academic visiting Montreal for a conference. For his father, Randy Sears, the grief remains as raw today as it was in those first hours of shock. He has described his son as not only brilliant in his work, but also deeply committed to service, pointing out that Nathan's efforts while working with Canadian intelligence had once saved lives in Iraq. To Randy, the fire was not only the result of criminal intent, but also a preventable disaster tied to systemic negligence and human error. The Montreal police have confirmed that the fire was deliberately set, yet the investigation has dragged on, with prosecutors still reviewing evidence and working alongside the arson squad. Chief Inspector David Shane, himself a former arson squad supervisor, has emphasized the complexity of cases where lives are lost. He has said that the investigation is thorough, that no corners have been cut, and that every detail must be airtight before charges can proceed to trial. Families, however, feel trapped in an endless waiting game as grief collides with frustration at the slow pace of justice. The building on Place Duville where the tragedy occurred was home to a mix of residents and short-term rentals, many of which were operating illegally. 5 of the 7 victims were staying in those rentals, with reports later confirming that some of them were trapped in windowless rooms without proper escape routes. Survivors stated that they had not heard fire alarms, suggesting major failures in safety enforcement. For families like the Sears, these failures extend responsibility beyond the person who set the fire to those who managed and regulated the building. The names of the victims paint a picture of both local life and international connection. Alongside Nathan Sears were neuroscientist Ann Wu, tourists Danya Zafar and Sanya Khan, teenagers Charlie Lacroix and Walid Belkala, and photographer Camille Maheu, who had lived in the building for decades. Their loss reverberated far beyond Montreal, reminding many of how negligence in oversight can cut across borders and generations. Attention soon turned to the building's owner, Emile Benamor, and the operator of the short-term rentals, Tariq Hassan. Families have argued that both ignored safety standards in pursuit of profit, while the city of Montreal failed to enforce its own fire code and short-term rental restrictions. Multiple civil lawsuits have since been filed, including one from Randy Sears and another from the parents of teenager Charlie Lacroix. The suits claim that a chain of errors, from ignored inspections to unsafe modifications, created the conditions that made the fire so devastating. The picture grew more complicated when, in October of 2024, another building owned by Benamor caught fire, leading to the loss of 2 more lives, French tourist Léonore Yvonne Giraudy and her young daughter. Once again, authorities declared the fire deliberate, and charges of arson were brought against 2 men. This second tragedy reinforced suspicions that the first was not an isolated event, but part of a wider pattern of neglect and targeted attacks. For now, the coroner's inquest into both fires has been delayed until the criminal processes are complete. Coroner Gehane Camel has been tasked with the review, and while there is talk of combining the inquests, families like the Sears fear that further delays will only slow needed reforms. In the meantime, civil suits are moving forward. These cases are expected to reveal overlapping evidence and testimony that may shed light on both individual responsibility and institutional failure. The story of the old Montreal fire is not simply one of a single act of arson. It is a narrative of a system stretched thin, of loopholes exploited, and of oversight that fell short. Families want justice for their loved ones, but they also demand change so that no one else suffers the same fate. As Randy Sears has said, every day brings reminders of the tragedy, and every delay suggests that the necessary reforms are not being treated with the urgency they deserve. The mystery of Christine Jack. The disappearance of Christine Jack in Winnipeg remains one of the most mysterious and troubling cases in Canadian history. Christine, a 33-year-old mother of 2, vanished on the 17th of December 1988, just 3 days after she had spoken with her lawyer about pursuing divorce from her husband, Brian Jack. Her case would dominate headlines for nearly a decade, as her husband, a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber football player, was accused, tried, and retried in an exhausting legal saga that ultimately ended without final resolution. Despite years of courtroom battles, Christine's remains have never been found, leaving her family without closure. Christine's story began with promise. She and Brian married in August of 1980 after meeting through a football-related event, and they had 2 children together. Yet, by the late 1980s, their marriage was strained, and Christine sought a way out. On the night of her disappearance, Brian claimed that after an argument in their St. Vital home, Christine left in their yellow Chevy Blazer and never returned. Only days later, the vehicle was discovered abandoned behind a Salisbury House restaurant. Initially reported by an anonymous caller, the tip was later revealed to have come from Brian himself, who admitted to making the call only after police confronted him with evidence. Witness accounts complicated matters further. Some residents of St. Anne recalled seeing Brian driving a vehicle resembling the Blazer on the night Christine disappeared, while others reported helping him with car troubles. Police searches in both St. Anne and the Brady Road landfill failed to uncover her whereabouts, but suspicion grew. On the 26th of December, 1988, Brian was arrested and charged in connection with Christine's disappearance. The first trial began in September of 1990, and it quickly captured public attention. Blood evidence consistent with Christine's rare blood type was discovered inside the family home and vehicle. The Crown argued that Christine had been harmed in the family's living room and that Brian was the only witness to what happened next. In November of 1990, Brian was convicted of the second degree and sentenced to life in prison. Christine's mother, Violetta Reiter, said the verdict gave the family some measure of closure, though Christine's body was never recovered. However, the case did not end there. In January of 1990, Brian's conviction was overturned on appeal, and he was granted bail. Later that year, he was acquitted at a second trial. The Crown immediately appealed, and the Supreme Court of Canada ordered a third trial, which began in 1994. In March of 1995, Brian was convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison. His legal team appealed once again, and after years of proceedings, the Supreme Court of Canada finally entered a judicial stay of proceedings on the 20th of June, 1997. After 3 trials, 2 convictions, and multiple appeals, Brian Jack was freed, leaving the case unresolved. For Christine's family, the ordeal was devastating. They endured nearly a decade of trials and media attention, yet no definitive answers emerged. Christine's remains have never been found, and to this day, the circumstances of her disappearance remain a mystery. While the courts ultimately freed Brian Jack, the unanswered questions have ensured that the case continues to linger in the public consciousness. The mystery of Philip Cairns. The disappearance of Philip Cairns remains one of Ireland's most heartbreaking mysteries. In October of 1986, the 13-year-old boy vanished in South Dublin, leaving behind questions that still haunt his family, his community, and the nation as a whole. His case has often been spoken of alongside other high-profile mysteries because of the profound impact it had on Irish society and the lack of closure for his loved ones. Philip was one of 6 children in a close-knit family. On the 23rd of October in 1986, he followed his usual routine, walking home from Coleisteana Secondary School in Rathfarnham around 12:45 for his lunch. His home on Ballyrone Road was just a short distance away. After eating, he left his house at approximately 1:30 to return to school. That short walk was the last time anyone saw him. When Philip failed to return to class, the alarm was raised quickly, and the police launched a major search effort. Several hundred officers scoured the surrounding area, including rivers, lakes, and the Dublin Mountains, but no trace of Philip could be found. Volunteers joined in the search, walking the routes he was believed to have taken, but every effort ended in frustration. Rumours soon circulated at the school that Philip may have been enticed into a van by a man offering sweets. However, no evidence ever confirmed this story, and investigators were left without leads. In an unusual step for Ireland at the time, police consulted psychics and clairvoyants, and Philip's photo was even distributed on milk cartons, but these measures produced no results. 6 days after his disappearance, a breakthrough seemed possible when 2 schoolgirls discovered Philip's school bag in a laneway not far from his home. This find was deeply unsettling, as the area had already been searched repeatedly by police and volunteers. Investigators concluded that the bag had likely been placed there deliberately after the searches had ended. This strongly suggested that someone had interfered with the case. Inside the bag were Philip's school materials, his pens, pencils, notebooks, and most of his books. Oddly, his geography book and both religion books were missing, a detail that has puzzled investigators for decades. The bag underwent forensic examination, but no useful evidence was found. Since then, it has remained sealed in police custody, preserved as one of the most tangible pieces of evidence connected to the case. Over the years, police received hundreds of reported sightings of Philip, not only in Ireland, but also as far away as the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia. Every lead was investigated, but none turned out to be genuine. Philip's parents made regular appeals on Irish national television, desperately seeking answers, and in later years, his sisters stepped forward to continue the search for truth. The police continued their investigations quietly, often searching properties without informing the media until after the fact. A special mass was held in 2006 to mark the 20th anniversary of Philip's disappearance, and in 2007, a reconstruction of his final day was broadcast on the Irish television programme Crime Call. That same year, Crime Stoppers announced a £10,000 reward for information. The police reported that the public response was tremendous, but once again, no breakthrough came. Philip's father passed away in 2014 without ever knowing what happened to his son. In September of 2020, Philip's sister made a new appeal for information, describing the ongoing pain and even distressing phone calls the family had endured throughout the years. Around that time, Irish broadcaster RTE released a documentary re-examining the Garda investigation, keeping Philip's story alive in the public consciousness. The case shocked Ireland in 1986, changing the way people lived their daily lives. The idea that a young boy could vanish in broad daylight in a busy suburban area terrified families across the country. Parents became more cautious, and a sense of vulnerability spread through communities that had once felt safe. One enduring mystery is the identity of two individuals reportedly seen in the laneway shortly before Philip's school bag was found. Police have never identified them, and they remain central to the unanswered questions surrounding the case. Nearly 4 decades later, Philip Cairns' disappearance continues to cast a shadow over Ireland. For his family, the pain of not knowing has never faded. For the public, the case remains a reminder of the fragility of everyday life and the hope that someday the truth will emerge. A Nevada man and his dog vanish. The unexplained disappearance of 86-year-old Patrick Carnes in April 2011 remains one of Nevada's most puzzling missing persons cases. A devoted family man and retired systems manager, Patrick was in excellent health for his age and deeply cherished his Labrador and Akita mixed dog, Lucky. In the spring of 2011, Patrick had driven from Reno, Nevada to Ohio with Lucky to visit family and explore retirement home options. He was considering relocating to be closer to loved ones and had spent several days on the road during the round trip. Nothing during the outward journey had raised any red flags. As Patrick began the return drive to Reno, he seemed to be in good spirits. He was reportedly alert, self-sufficient, and remained in contact with his family. However, something changed during that final leg of his trip. On the evening of April 13th, he was pulled over for a minor traffic violation near Wells, Nevada. The officer who stopped him noted that Patrick had been following a tractor-trailer and had failed to slow down or change lanes as required. During their brief conversation, Patrick mentioned that the truck driver he was following was headed toward Elko, a town where Patrick planned to spend the night. What makes this detail especially strange is that no one has ever come forward as the truck driver Patrick referenced. It is assumed the two men had spoken, perhaps at a rest area or fuel stop, but the exact nature of their interaction is unknown. Compounding the mystery, the dashcam footage from the patrol car was too low resolution to capture any identifying details about the truck. The officer recalled Patrick as polite and lucid, joking that he wouldn't drive at night again. It would be the last confirmed interaction anyone had with him. Patrick stopped at a gas station in Wells before continuing west along Interstate 80. Whether he reached Elko remains unknown. Surveillance cameras along his intended route were not functioning at the time, eliminating a critical source of potential information. Then, early the next morning on April 14th, his green Subaru Forester was discovered abandoned in a remote field near Winnemucca, Nevada, roughly 200 miles from his destination. Even more puzzling was the fact that the car was facing east, the opposite direction of his intended route. There were no signs of mechanical failure, the car had fuel, and it appeared to be in working order. A single set of footprints was discovered leading away from the vehicle, but it was never confirmed whether they belonged to Patrick. Some reports state that all of his belongings, including his dog's leash and food, were still in the car. Others mention that his wallet was missing, though he typically carried cash rather than credit cards. Regardless, neither Patrick nor Lucky was anywhere to be found. His family quickly grew concerned when he failed to call and let them know he'd arrived home safely, which was highly out of character. 2 of his sons visited his apartment, finding it empty, which matched the findings of a wellness check conducted earlier by local authorities. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Department launched a major search operation involving ground teams, dogs, and aerial support. Despite hundreds of hours spent canvassing the area, no trace of Patrick or Lucky was ever located. Given Patrick's age and the fact that he walked with a limp, it seemed unlikely he would have ventured far into the rugged terrain on his own. His family and investigators alike were left baffled by the circumstances. The idea that he had simply wandered off did not sit well with those who knew him. Years later, no suspects or leads have emerged, and Patrick's disappearance remains unsolved. Some have speculated that he may have encountered someone with ill intent, or that something unusual happened following his interaction with the unidentified truck driver. Others believe it's possible he stopped to help someone, or that he and Lucky became disoriented. Without surveillance footage, witnesses, or physical evidence, any theory remains speculative. Patrick Carnes lived a full and accomplished life. Born in 1925 in Cleveland, Ohio, he served in the Navy during World War II before earning a degree from UCLA and working for the prestigious Rand Corporation. He raised a family, maintained his independence well into his 80s, and found companionship in his loyal dog after the passing of his beloved wife, Margaret. For someone with such a rich and well-documented life, it is all the more heartbreaking that his final moments remain unknown. What happened to Emma Baum? The disappearance of Emma Baum, a 25-year-old mother of 3 who was 9 months pregnant at the time she went missing, has left her family and community searching for answers. Emma was last seen on October 10, 2023, in Gary, Indiana. According to her family, she was dropped off at her boyfriend's house that day, the same man who is believed to be the father of her unborn child. Since then, there has been no trace of her, and her loved ones have been left in distress, hoping for her safe return. Emma's family reported that she did not have a working phone at the time she vanished. She had planned to visit a local store with her boyfriend to activate the device, but she never followed up or made contact afterward. Her sister, Haley Baum Waddell, has expressed deep concern about the events surrounding Emma's disappearance and has publicly stated her belief that something isn't adding up. Their mother, Jamie Baum, has also voiced similar concerns, suggesting that Emma's partner may know more than he is revealing. The man in question, identified in public reports as Butler, has not been officially named a suspect. However, he has a history of previous legal issues, and his arrest in an unrelated case shortly after Emma's disappearance has raised questions for those following the case closely. Despite these circumstances, authorities in Gary have reiterated that no one has been charged in relation to Emma's case and that the investigation is ongoing. Commander Jack Hamady of the Gary Police Department confirmed that detectives continue to follow leads and interview individuals who may have relevant information. The situation has also taken a toll on Emma's family, especially her mother, who has been left caring for Emma's 3 children. Jamie Baum is now facing serious financial challenges as she juggles daily responsibilities and the emotional strain of searching for her daughter and unborn grandchild. According to a GoFundMe page created by supporters, Jamie is dealing with overdue rent and utilities and has received an eviction notice. Despite the community's efforts to support the Baum family, donations remain limited and the burden on the family continues to grow. Emma Baum was more than a missing person. She was a vibrant young woman known for her warmth, kindness, and the joy she brought to others. Her sister Haley described her as someone who always wanted to lift people up, who gave her love freely and made others feel included. She was also a loving mother, and her absence has left her children and extended family deeply affected. Emma's distinctive features, including her brown hair, brown eyes, multiple tattoos, and her habit of wearing colourful wigs, make her recognisable, and her family remains hopeful that someone may come forward with helpful information. Authorities received the official missing persons report on October 28th. Since then, search efforts have been persistent. Volunteers, law enforcement, and family members have walked through neighbourhoods, knocked on doors, and passed out flyers. K9 units have also been deployed in an effort to locate Emma or uncover new leads. The family believes she may have already given birth, as she was 1 centimetre dilated shortly before her disappearance. With each passing day, concern for both Emma and her baby grows. Man photographs a mysterious object above his house. On the evening of March 16, 2010, a resident of Greenville, South Carolina, experienced something extraordinary that has continued to spark curiosity and debate among those who follow reports of unexplained aerial phenomena. At 8 in the evening, the eyewitness reported noticing a bright red light moving across the sky from a distance. At first glance, it appeared as though an airplane might have been in distress, possibly even on fire, prompting the individual to quickly grab a camera in hopes of capturing the event. However, what was captured was something far more baffling than a damaged commercial aircraft. As the object approached, it became clear that it was a large black triangle-shaped craft. The eyewitness described the object as having a vivid red strobe light located at its center, which gave the impression that it was glowing or perhaps even ablaze. The triangular craft appeared to be climbing in altitude, and by the time the witness moved to the backyard to get a better view, it had already entered the cloud layer and vanished from sight. The photograph, later shared online by the observer, shows a shadowy triangular form hovering silently above residential rooftops. What sets this account apart is not only the clarity of the description, but also the fact that it aligns with decades of similar sightings reported across the world. Known as black triangle UFOs, these mysterious aerial vehicles have been described as massive, silent, and often flying at low altitudes, sometimes directly above neighborhoods or empty highways late at night. The Greenville sighting adds to a long list of unexplained reports. For years, black triangle UFOs have been a subject of intense interest and speculation. Their quiet operation, enormous size, and the often strange red or white lights seen glowing from them have led many to suspect they may be classified military aircraft. Despite numerous reports, there has never been any formal acknowledgement from the government that such craft exist, nor has any technology of this nature been publicly disclosed. What puzzles many researchers and eyewitnesses alike is the behavior of these craft. If black triangles are indeed secret government projects, why would they be flown so low and so visibly above populated areas? The risk of exposure seems at odds with the high levels of secrecy typically associated with advanced military developments. This has led some to theorize that their presence may be intentional, perhaps as a psychological operation, or that these craft may not be human in origin at all. The Greenville sighting, and the photograph that accompanies it, remains unexplained to this day. For the witness, it was a moment of disbelief and awe. For others, it serves as yet another clue in the ongoing mystery surrounding black triangle UFOs, craft that seem to exist on the edge of the known and the unknown, blurring the line between military innovation and something more otherworldly. The photograph stands as a haunting reminder that not everything in the sky can be easily explained. The mystery of Denise Kathleen Anderson. Denise Kathleen Anderson was just 22 years old when she quietly vanished from Sacramento, California, on April 13, 1971. More than 5 decades later, her case remains one of the city's enduring mysteries. A promising young woman with dreams of becoming an actress, Denise had recently moved into the auditorium apartments on 16th Street with 2 roommates. The building, located in Sacramento's theater district, was a fitting home for someone so involved in the performing arts. Denise was actively engaged with the Center Players theater group and had recently been cast in a role for their production of Mara Sad, scheduled to play Simone Everard. On the day she disappeared, Denise was expected at a rehearsal, but she never arrived. Her absence immediately raised concern, especially among those who knew how dedicated she was to her craft. According to reports, one of her roommates had seen her sleeping early that morning around 5:30 in the morning. The same roommate borrowed Denise's car that day and returned to the apartment at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, only to find Denise gone. What makes her disappearance even more puzzling is that all of her personal belongings, including her purse, clothing, and other items, were still inside the apartment, except for a short wig she often wore. The circumstances led many to believe that Denise had not planned to leave for long, if at all. Her bank account remained untouched, and she never returned to her job at Wells Fargo Bank. Investigators and family members alike were left without clues. What's more, the identities of her roommates were never clearly established, making it difficult to fully reconstruct the timeline of that day. City directories from the time list Denise at her mother's home on 45th Street, suggesting she may have only recently moved into the auditorium apartments, and that her presence there was not yet fully documented. This case leaves many unanswered questions. If the roommate saw her at 5:30 in the morning, what happened between that moment and 2:30 in the afternoon? Was the other roommate home during that window, and did they see or hear anything unusual? The absence of the wig could suggest she left in a hurry or intended to return shortly, but if that was the case, what stopped her? Was she scheduled to work at the bank that same day, and if so, was the rehearsal set for before or after her shift? Since her roommate had taken the car, could Denise have attempted to walk or even hitchhike to her destination? Despite the various leads and theories, none have produced concrete answers. The theatre, the bank, the apartment building, none offered the vital clue needed to piece together her steps. Denise's story has remained frozen in time, a haunting reminder of how quickly someone can disappear without a trace. For her family and those still invested in the case, the hope remains that one day, someone might come forward with the information that finally brings clarity to her mysterious absence. The strange case of Timothy McSears. The mysterious disappearance of 65-year-old Timothy McSears has left a quiet Georgia community searching for answers and holding on to hope. A dedicated volunteer, beloved family member, and respected worker, Timothy was last seen on Thursday, March 6, 2025, at Mount Zion Baptist Church on Dunwoody Road in Walker County. Since then, there has been no confirmed trace of him, prompting an ongoing investigation led by the Walker County Sheriff's Office. Despite false reports circulating on social media claiming he has been located, officials have firmly stated that these claims are not true. Timothy remains missing, and the search continues with urgency. Timothy McSears was well known in the Lafayette area, where he worked as a concrete finisher. He was deeply involved in his church community and often volunteered at Mount Zion Baptist Church, where he was last seen. According to Sheriff Steve Wilson, Timothy was the one who would arrive early on Sunday mornings to open the church doors, a responsibility that he never missed. His consistent presence and warm spirit earned him the respect and affection of many in the area. When Timothy failed to appear at a family gathering 2 days after he was last seen, his loved ones immediately knew something was wrong. His brother, Donnie McSears, expressed the emotional toll that the disappearance has taken on the family, describing the ongoing uncertainty as almost unbearable. Donnie said that you keep expecting to see him, and he's just not there. That sentiment was echoed by Timothy's niece, Erica Madison, who described her uncle as someone full of life, humor, and generosity. The last known sighting of Timothy came from a neighbor who saw him around 6 in the evening that Thursday, reportedly throwing away trash near the church. Since then, there have been no confirmed leads, despite investigators combing the area and conducting interviews. The Walker County Sheriff's Office has emphasized that detectives are actively working the case and exploring all possibilities. A $10,000 reward has been offered for information that helps bring Timothy home, underscoring how seriously law enforcement is treating his disappearance. Sheriff Wilson recently stood with Timothy's family at a press conference, urging the public to come forward with any information that might help. He reiterated the unusual nature of the case, noting that Timothy is not someone who would typically vanish without a trace. With each passing day, the community continues to hope for clarity and resolution. Timothy's absence has left a void in the hearts of those who knew him best. As the investigation moves forward, his family, friends, and church community remain committed to finding him, refusing to give up hope. Until then, the mystery of Timothy McSears continues to weigh heavily on all those touched by his kindness, humor, and unwavering presence. The mystery of Caleb Wells. Caleb Wells, a 31-year-old father of 2 known to those close to him as Corey, mysteriously vanished in the summer of 2021 after boarding a flight from Georgia to California. His disappearance has left his family in ongoing distress, with more questions than answers, and a continued hope that one day he will be found safe. The last time Caleb's mother saw her son was on July 2, 2021. The very next day, he boarded a flight to California, a trip that seemed ordinary at the time, but what followed has been an ongoing mystery that continues to baffle both family and authorities. Caleb was known for his consistency, especially when it came to keeping in touch with family. He never missed an important call, particularly birthday wishes to loved ones. When his mother's birthday passed without a word from him, alarm bells immediately rang. It was unlike Caleb, and his absence began to weigh heavily on those who knew and loved him. Before leaving Georgia, Caleb had told his daughter Angelia, who is now 15 years old, that he would be traveling with someone named Michael Brown, a man Caleb had known since high school. This detail became central to understanding his last known movements. In September 2021, unable to bear the uncertainty, Caleb's mother, Miss Walker, traveled to California in search of her son. She traced his steps to a Motel 6 in Rowland Heights, where both Caleb and Michael Brown had reportedly stayed. While she was able to confirm through staff that both men had indeed been at the motel, privacy policies prevented her from obtaining or recording the surveillance footage. Without a legal order, she was unable to take that investigation any further. Despite this setback, her determination never wavered. Over the next 2 years, she returned to California 5 more times, each trip driven by hope and the unwavering love of a mother searching for answers. Despite extensive personal efforts and repeated inquiries, no significant breakthroughs were made. Eventually, local law enforcement added Caleb Wells to the Department of Justice's official missing persons list in California. The listing was both a sobering confirmation of his status and a small glimmer of hope that his case would receive the formal attention it deserved. Caleb's disappearance remains a mystery. There has been no confirmed contact, no financial activity, and no verified sightings. For his family, the silence is the most difficult part. His mother continues to speak openly about her hope and her faith that her son will return. She refuses to give up on the belief that one day the door will open and she will see her son again. The mystery of Joyce Irene Cogburn and Josephine Yvette Cogburn. The mysterious disappearance of sisters. Joyce Irene Cogburn and Josephine Yvette Cogburn has haunted their family and investigators since 1983. At the time, Joyce was 15 years old and Yvette was 16. The girls were living in Norman, Oklahoma, with a male family friend who had been given temporary custody of them. Their mother, a single parent working hard to raise 3 daughters while attending nursing school in Broken Bow, had entrusted the man with her children's care during a difficult period in her life. The Cogburn family's story began with tragedy. Their father passed away in a car accident in 1968, before Joyce was born. The loss placed an emotional and financial strain on their mother, who had been trying to rebuild her life while raising her daughters. Over time, the sisters had been placed with various family members. Yvette and Joyce lived with their paternal grandparents for a while their eldest sister stayed with their maternal grandmother. In the early 1980s, the man who would later gain temporary custody of the younger Cogburn girls entered their lives. Their mother had met him while working, and though he seemed like a trusted friend, questions about his true intentions later emerged. After moving in with him in 1981, Joyce and Yvette's lives seemed relatively stable until their sudden disappearance on October 2, 1983. According to the man, the sisters left the house to go to the library and never returned. He reported them missing, suggesting they had run away, but details surrounding their disappearance raised significant doubts. Authorities initially treated the case as a runaway situation, but they were never able to confirm any sightings of the girls after they reportedly left for the library. There was also no indication that they took any personal belongings, money, or identification with them. These factors cast doubt on the runaway theory and led investigators to consider other possibilities. Their older sister later shared that Yvette had confided in her about a relationship between Joyce and the man they were living with, which had ended not long before they vanished. What further raised concern was the man's behavior after the girls went missing. He broke off all communication with the Cogburn family and refused to return the girls' belongings. Though never officially named a suspect, he was never ruled out either. Following his passing and the demolition of the apartment where the girls had lived, many potential leads were lost. Over the years, there have been sporadic reports and unconfirmed sightings of Joyce and Yvette, but none have provided concrete answers. Their older sister has continued to advocate for the case, seeking answers and keeping their story alive in the hope that someday the truth will emerge. The absence of Joyce and Yvette Cogburn remains one of Oklahoma's enduring mysteries, a case that has touched many, reminding people of the importance of not letting stories like theirs be forgotten. Their family continues to hold on to hope, waiting for the day that resolution may finally come. Mysterious trail cam photo. In the dense wooded wilderness of Maine, a seemingly routine trail camera capture has ignited a wave of fascination and speculation. The image, taken by a motion-triggered camera in a remote part of the state, has been widely circulated and discussed within online communities that focus on mysterious creatures and the unexplained. What sets this particular photograph apart from typical wildlife captures is the figure at its center, a tall, shadowy creature with oddly human-like legs and the distinct posture of something that doesn't quite belong in the animal kingdom. For some, this mysterious figure is a perfect candidate for what is popularly known as the dogman, a creature that is often described as a creature resembling a werewolf, bipedal, muscular, and towering, with features that are both canine and eerily human. Others have simply referred to the image as a depiction of a werewolf, given the creature's upright posture and the visible bulk of its upper body, but what has stirred the most conversation are its legs, unmistakably shaped more like a human's than any known animal, including wolves or bears. Photographs claiming to capture dogmen are extremely rare. When they do surface, they are often criticized for being blurry or ambiguous, leaving too much open to interpretation. This image, however, stands out. The clarity, combined with the detailed structure of the creature's limbs and the surrounding environment, has led many researchers to label it as one of the clearest and most compelling dogman images to date. The reactions have been mixed, but passionate, with some users insisting it must be an unusually large wolf captured at a strange angle, while others believe it's something entirely different, perhaps a creature not yet recognized by modern science. What adds to the intrigue is the lack of manipulation evident in the image. Those who have studied it closely note that it doesn't exhibit the hallmarks of digital alteration or fabrication. The lighting, the position of the foliage, and the natural blur from motion all suggest the image is genuine. Still, its authenticity and meaning remain hotly debated. As the photo gained traction, it made its way to several online groups dedicated to cryptozoology and the paranormal, where it quickly went viral. Some saw it as definitive proof that something unknown roams the forests of Maine. Others approached it with skepticism, offering alternative explanations ranging from costume hoaxes to misunderstood wildlife behavior. Regardless of where one falls in the debate, it's clear that this trail camera image has left a lasting impression. The image taps into a deeper cultural curiosity about the wild spaces that remain largely unexplored and the legends that have persisted for generations. Whether the creature is a misidentified animal, a deliberate hoax, or evidence of an undiscovered species, it has managed to rekindle the imagination of those who wonder what still hides in the shadows. Until more evidence comes to light, the image will remain a chilling piece of the puzzle in the ever-growing mystery of the dogman. The mystery of Clinton Sutton. Clinton Sutton was 28 years old when he was last seen in November 2014. Originally from England, Clinton had made his home in Colorado Springs and was the eldest of 4 siblings. Known for his warm personality, Clinton was described by those who knew him best as generous, kind, and always ready with a joke. His friendly nature made his sudden and unexplained disappearance all the more difficult for his loved ones to understand. At the time of his disappearance, Clinton had been living with his mother, Victoria Jameson. However, due to concerns about his drinking habits, a disagreement led him to move out. On November 6, 2014, Clinton's stepfather, Gary Jameson, gave him and a companion a ride to the Chateau Motel on South Nevada Avenue. Gary remembers giving Clinton some money for food and to cover the motel stay, noting that Clinton didn't have his wallet or any form of identification with him at the time. When Gary later returned to the motel to follow up, the front desk staff said they had no memory of Clinton or his friend checking in. Later that same day, Clinton called his mother. During the conversation, he mentioned that he had made new friends, but also shared that he was feeling uneasy about the situation. Unfortunately, his mother was preoccupied at the time and asked him to call her back in the morning. That was the last time anyone in the family heard from him. Looking back, Victoria has often reflected on that moment, wishing she had stayed on the line with her son longer. Clinton's family immediately sprang into action, printing and distributing missing person posters throughout the South Nevada area. His sister, Chesna Malone, recalled how some of the flyers were torn down shortly after being posted, something she described as unsettling. As time passed, the case became increasingly concerning to authorities as well. The Colorado Springs Police Department now treats Clinton's disappearance as both a cold case and a missing person investigation, classifying it as suspicious due to the long absence and the fact that he never accessed the federal benefits he had applied for. The family has taken all possible steps to aid the search, including submitting their DNA to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. Despite this, no matches have been found and no new leads have surfaced. Still, His loved ones continue to hold out hope, clinging to the belief that one day Clinton might come back or reach out, even just to let them know he is safe. Victoria Jameson continues to speak out about her son's story, hoping to generate new leads and raise awareness. Stanley Meyer was an American inventor who claimed to have developed a car that could run entirely on water without the need for any other fuel. His invention, known as the water fuel cell, was said to use a process known as electrolysis to separate water molecules into their constituent parts, hydrogen and oxygen, which would then be used to power the car's engine. Stanley Allen Meyer, born on August 24, 1940, resided primarily in East Columbus, Ohio throughout his life. However, he relocated to Grandview Heights, where he completed his high school education. Meyer possessed a strong passion for innovation, and following his graduation, he pursued a brief military career before considering enrollment at Ohio State University. Stanley Meyer, throughout his life, possessed numerous patents in various domains such as banking, oceanography, cardiac monitoring, and automobiles. Patents serve as a type of intellectual property, granting the owner the legal authority to prohibit others from producing, utilizing, selling, and importing an invention for a specified period. In return for this exclusivity, the owner must disclose the invention publicly. Among all of Meyer's patents, the one that garnered the most attention and sparked controversy was the invention of a water-powered car. During the 1960s, Meyer created a patented device that had the capability to produce energy using water rather than relying on petroleum fuel. Meyer gave this invention the name of fuel cell or water fuel cell. In the 1970s, following a significant increase in global crude oil prices, the cost of oil in the United States experienced a threefold surge. Consequently, the consumption of fuel became much more expensive, resulting in a complete plummeting of car sales. The US government faced immense pressure due to a reduction in oil supply from Saudi Arabia. As a result, numerous companies faced bankruptcy, and the American automotive industry suffered a substantial blow. Stanley Meyer embarked on a mission to create a groundbreaking vehicle that would transform the American automotive industry. In his pursuit, he conceptualized a retrofitted automobile known as a fuel cell that had the capability to utilize water as a viable alternative to petroleum-based fuels, such as petrol or gasoline. The objective behind this innovation was to reduce dependency on petroleum resources during an era marked by difficulties and challenges. If Stanley Meyer's assertion held true, his innovative invention could potentially spark a paradigm shift in the American automotive sector, resulting in significant cost savings for the global economy. Furthermore, it would contribute to mitigating the risk of global warming by minimizing air pollution and introducing oxygen into the atmosphere. Meyer subsequently developed a crimson buggy, which served as the pioneering water-fueled vehicle. This groundbreaking hydrogen-powered automobile garnered significant attention as it toured various locations in the United States. The public's fascination with Meyer's innovative invention was evident, even earning coverage in a local television news report. During the interview, Meyer stated that his hydrogen-powered vehicle would require a mere 22 gallons, or 83 liters of water, to cover the distance between Los Angeles and New York. Stanley Meyer passed away on March 20, 1998. While having a meal with two Belgian investors at a restaurant, Meyer abruptly rushed out and uttered the words, "They poisoned me," before tragically losing his life. The Grove City Police Force conducted an inquiry in collaboration with the Franklin County Coroner's Office. According to the coroner's report, it was determined that Meyer's passing was a result of a cerebral aneurysm caused by natural factors. Some have suggested that the businessman held a genuine belief that Meyer had created something powerful enough to challenge the dominance of the oil industry and completely transform the world. It was evident to them that Meyer's invention played a role in his untimely demise. Meyer's alleged assassination was purportedly aimed at suppressing his inventions and preventing his fuel cell technology from becoming public knowledge. Consequently, potential suspects include the executive boards of prominent automobile manufacturers, oil companies, and possibly even government entities. There have been speculations that the two Belgian investors themselves may have been responsible for his passing. The actual facts are still being debated. His supporters still firmly believe that he was taken out due to his technological advancements. Nikola Tesla's last moments. Nikola Tesla, one of history's most brilliant inventors, left a legacy of innovation and ideas that continue to influence modern technology. However, Tesla's life was marked not only by scientific genius, but also by secrecy, financial hardship, and a series of inventions that, some claim, could have altered the balance of power in the world. Tesla's sudden passing on January 7, 1943, in his hotel room in New York City, has long been the subject of strange theories. Many believe that Tesla was taken out by the government and that his groundbreaking inventions and research were seized by authorities immediately after his passing. Supporters of this theory argue that Tesla's technological discoveries, particularly those involving free energy, electromagnetic weapons, and wireless transmission of power, were seen as a threat by both the US government and other global powers. They claim that Tesla's death was no accident and that it was orchestrated to prevent his work from falling into the wrong hands, or perhaps from revolutionizing the world in ways that powerful interests couldn't control. During his lifetime, Nikola Tesla envisioned and created technology that was far ahead of its time, and some of his ideas remain revolutionary even today. One of Tesla's most controversial inventions was his work on wireless energy transmission, the ability to transmit electricity through the air without the need for power lines. Tesla believed that by harnessing the Earth's natural electromagnetic forces, free energy could be made available to everyone, eliminating the need for fossil fuels and conventional power systems. This technology, if fully realized, could have disrupted the global energy industry, which was, and still is, dominated by powerful corporations and governments. Tesla's concept of free energy directly threatened the global economic system, which is heavily dependent on the control of energy resources like oil, coal, and gas. Some researchers believe that these powerful interests couldn't afford to let Tesla's ideas reach the public. His inventions, they argue, could have freed humanity from the need to pay for energy, rendering the oil industry, utility companies, and many government regulatory agencies obsolete. Such a radical shift in energy availability and control would have been seen as an economic and political threat by the elites of the time, including influential figures in the US government. Tesla was also known to have been working on the concept of an electromagnetic weapon, often referred to as the death ray or Tesla's oscillator. This device was reportedly capable of emitting concentrated beams of energy that could disable enemy machinery or even bring down aircraft. Tesla claimed that his invention could act as a peacekeeping tool, a weapon so powerful that it would render all warfare obsolete because no nation would dare to challenge another possessing such a weapon. However, those who believe in the theory of Tesla's assassination suggest that this technology was viewed as too dangerous to be left in the hands of a single inventor or to be made public. If such a weapon had been developed, it would have shifted global military power dramatically. Nikola Tesla died in relative obscurity, living out his final years in poverty at the Hotel New Yorker in Manhattan. Officially, he passed away of natural causes. However, researchers argue that the circumstances of his passing were far more suspicious than they appeared. According to this theory, Tesla's passing was not the result of age or illness, but rather a targeted assassination carried out by government agents or intelligence agencies. At the time of Tesla's passing, the world was in the midst of World War II, and the US government was intensely focused on technological advancements that could give them an edge in the war. Tesla's research, particularly his work on energy transmission and potential weapons technology, would have been of great interest to military strategists. The theory suggests that Tesla's refusal to collaborate with the government on his more dangerous inventions led to his elimination, as those in power feared his knowledge falling into enemy hands or causing global destabilization. Adding fuel to the conspiracy is the claim that, shortly after Tesla's passing, representatives from the FBI and Office of Alien Property Custodian, a wartime US government agency, arrived at Tesla's hotel room and seized all of his papers, notes, and inventions. These documents were allegedly taken away to secure government facilities and never made public, sparking speculation about what they contained. Supporters of the theory argue that Tesla's research, particularly his uncompleted work on free energy and advanced weaponry, was immediately classified and used to further secret government projects, possibly influencing later developments in military technology and energy systems. One of the most intriguing figures connected to the aftermath of Tesla's passing is John G. Trump, an American electrical engineer, inventor, and physicist who happened to be the uncle of future US President Donald Trump. After Tesla's passing, John Trump was asked by the FBI to examine Tesla's papers and assess their importance. According to official reports, John Trump concluded that Tesla's work was primarily speculative and did not pose any immediate threat or potential for new technological breakthroughs. However, historical researchers argue that John Trump's assessment was a cover-up and that he was tasked with ensuring that Tesla's most important and dangerous inventions were kept out of the public eye. Some have even suggested that Tesla's more advanced ideas were integrated into secret government projects, leading to developments in fields such as directed energy weapons and wireless power transmission, technologies that are still being researched today, often under highly classified conditions. To this day, the whereabouts of many of Tesla's papers and personal research notes remain unknown. While some of his work has been recovered or made available to the public, a significant portion of his writings and inventions have never surfaced. This absence has led many to speculate that the US government continues to hold Tesla's most important work in secret archives, possibly using it for classified military or energy projects. The mystery surrounding Tesla's papers has only deepened the belief that his passing was more than just a natural passing, and that his work was far more advanced than the public was led to believe. Some even argue that Tesla's ideas were so ahead of their time that they were kept hidden to prevent disruptive technological advancements that could threaten the status quo. The Titanic Olympic switch theory. The sinking of the Titanic remains one of the most tragic and well-known disasters in maritime history. More than 1,500 people lost their lives when the unsinkable ship hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank. However, amidst the many tales of heroism, tragedy, and survival that emerged from that fateful night, there lies a theory that suggests that the ship that sank wasn't the Titanic at all, but rather her sister ship, the Olympic. According to this theory, the two ships were switched as part of a scheme to collect insurance money on a ship that was already damaged beyond repair. Though this theory has been dismissed by most historians and maritime experts, it has fascinated researchers for decades. The idea that the White Star Line, the company that owned the Titanic and Olympic, would have orchestrated such a plot seems far-fetched, but proponents of the theory argue that the financial and circumstantial motivations were strong enough to justify such an audacious move. The Titanic and Olympic were two of three Olympic-class ocean liners built by the White Star Line at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. The third ship was the Britannic, which was launched after the sinking of the Titanic. Both the Titanic and Olympic were near identical in design, though the Titanic was slightly larger. The Olympic was launched first, in 1910, and had already been in service for a year when the Titanic set sail on her maiden voyage in April 1912. However, before the Titanic's launch, the Olympic was involved in a serious accident. In September 1911, while on her fifth voyage, the Olympic collided with a Royal Navy cruiser, the HMS Hawke, off the coast of the Isle of Wight. The collision caused significant damage to the ship's hull and required extensive repairs. The fact that the Olympic was found to be at fault for the collision meant that the White Star Line could not claim insurance on the damage, leaving the company in a difficult financial position. It is this financial strain, theorists argue, that led the White Star Line to hatch a plan: switch the damaged Olympic with the brand new Titanic and intentionally sink the ship to claim insurance money. According to the theory, the ship that hit the iceberg and sank was not the Titanic at all, but rather the Olympic, disguised as her nearly identical sister. Proponents of the switch theory suggest that the Olympic and Titanic were secretly swapped while both ships were docked in Belfast during repairs and finishing touches before the Titanic's maiden voyage. Since the two ships were nearly identical in appearance, it would have been relatively easy, according to the theory, to change the names on the ships, adjust minor details, and send the Olympic out under the Titanic's name. The theory holds that the Olympic, which was financially unviable after the collision with HMS Hawke, was deliberately sent to its doom as part of an insurance scam. The White Star Line could then collect on the insurance policy, covering the costs of the damaged ship and avoiding the massive financial loss they would have otherwise incurred. In this version of events, the real Titanic remained in service under the name Olympic for several more years. The Olympic continued to sail successfully until her retirement in 1935, but according to historical researchers, it was the Titanic all along. Supporters of the Titanic Olympic switch theory often cite several pieces of evidence to support their claim. While these points are largely speculative and have been debunked by maritime historians, they nonetheless form the basis of the theory. The starting point for the theory is the collision between the Olympic and HMS Hawke. The damage to the Olympic was severe, and the repairs were costly. Proponents argue that the financial strain caused by this accident gave the White Star Line a motive to switch the ships in order to avoid bankruptcy. The Titanic and Olympic were near identical in design, which would have made it easier to swap them. The only significant differences were minor interior features, which could have been changed quickly. For example, it is claimed that minor modifications to the ship's windows and the number of portholes were made during the switch. Some proponents of the theory point out that the Titanic was fitted with 16 lifeboats, plus 4 collapsible lifeboats, enough for only half of the people on board. They argue that if the ship had really been the brand new Titanic, it would have had more lifeboats, suggesting that the White Star Line knew the ship was going to be deliberately sunk and didn't bother to equip it properly. The White Star Line was owned by J.P. Morgan, the American financier and industrialist. Morgan was scheduled to sail on the Titanic's maiden voyage, but cancelled at the last minute, allegedly due to illness. However, he was later seen in good health in France. Theorists claim that Morgan knew of the planned sinking and avoided the ship deliberately. The Titanic Olympic switch theory persists as one of the many theories surrounding the Titanic disaster. UFOs, free energy, and the oil industry. The idea that governments around the world are hiding UFO evidence has been a topic of intrigue, speculation, and theories for decades. While many theories revolve around the belief that governments are concealing evidence of extraterrestrial life, there is a growing narrative that suggests these UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, may hold the key to free energy technologies that could revolutionize the global economy. According to this theory, governments, in collaboration with the oil industry and other powerful interests, are deliberately withholding this information to protect the status quo, particularly the multi-trillion-dollar fossil fuel industry. Proponents of this theory argue that UFOs have been observed performing incredible feats, such as hovering without visible propulsion systems, traveling at extraordinary speeds, and making sharp, instantaneous turns, suggesting that these crafts are powered by advanced energy systems that are far beyond anything available today. These energy systems, they believe, could provide free, limitless energy to humanity, completely eliminating the need for oil, gas, and other traditional forms of energy. However, the consequences of such a discovery would be so disruptive that governments are actively working to suppress it. One of the most compelling aspects of the UFO suppression theory is the idea that these advanced technologies could provide free energy, completely bypassing the need for fossil fuels. In many reported UFO sightings, the crafts appear to defy the known laws of physics. They move silently, without the emissions or exhaust typically associated with modern aircraft, and are capable of maneuvers that would require an enormous amount of energy. This has led some theorists to believe that UFOs are powered by a form of energy that is currently unknown to humanity, possibly derived from zero-point energy, anti-gravity technology, or other exotic sources. Free energy in this context refers to a limitless renewable energy source that could be harnessed without the need for fuel or ongoing costs. The implications of such technology would be profound. If humanity had access to free energy, it would eliminate the need for oil, coal, natural gas, and even nuclear power. Cars, homes, factories, and even cities could be powered by an inexhaustible energy source, potentially solving the world's energy problems overnight. However, this possibility presents a direct threat to the oil industry and other energy sectors that rely on fossil fuels. The global economy is deeply intertwined with the oil industry, which is responsible for trillions of dollars in revenue and supports millions of jobs worldwide. Oil companies wield significant political and economic influence, and any threat to their business model would be met with fierce resistance. Those who subscribe to the UFO suppression theory argue that governments are actively colluding with oil companies and other powerful corporate interests to keep free energy technology hidden from the public. The rationale is simple. The widespread adoption of free energy would destroy the fossil fuel industry overnight. The economic upheaval that would follow could lead to mass job losses, the collapse of major industries, and a significant loss of revenue for governments and corporations that rely on energy production and distribution. The fossil fuel industry is one of the most powerful sectors in the world. Companies like ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, and Chevron generate hundreds of billions of dollars annually and have a vested interest in maintaining their control over the global energy supply. These corporations are often seen as having significant political influence, using their resources to lobby governments and shape energy policy in their favor. Proponents of the theory argue that this influence extends to the suppression of UFO-related technologies. They believe that government agencies, including intelligence organizations and military departments, have recovered advanced UFO technology through events like the Roswell incident and other UFO crashes. However, instead of releasing this technology to the public, these agencies have classified it, fearing the economic and political consequences of revealing free energy technology. The theory suggests that governments are working in partnership with energy companies to prevent any breakthroughs that would threaten their dominance. The potential impact of free energy on the global economy is another key reason why governments may be suppressing UFO evidence. The energy sector is the backbone of modern civilization, powering industries, transportation, and infrastructure around the world. A sudden shift to free energy would lead to a massive economic disruption. Entire industries dependent on oil and gas would collapse, including transportation, energy production, and manufacturing. Workers in these sectors would be displaced, creating social and economic instability. Moreover, many developing nations rely heavily on the export of oil and natural gas for economic growth. A transition to free energy would render these resources virtually worthless, leading to financial crises in countries whose economies are tied to fossil fuel production. Governments may fear the geopolitical instability that would result from such a dramatic shift in energy dynamics. The power balance between energy-rich nations and energy-dependent ones would be upended, potentially leading to conflicts and upheaval. While the idea of governments suppressing UFO evidence to protect the oil industry may sound far-fetched, there are historical precedents for suppressing or slowing the development of disruptive technologies. One notable example is the electric car. While electric vehicles were technically feasible as early as the 19th century, the oil industry and automobile manufacturers prioritized the development of internal combustion engines, delaying widespread electric vehicle adoption for decades. Even in more recent history, electric cars faced significant resistance from oil companies and traditional car manufacturers who lobbied against government incentives for electric vehicles and renewable energy. Similarly, the idea of renewable energy, such as solar and wind power, has been met with resistance from fossil fuel interests. For years, oil companies funded research and campaigns to undermine the credibility of climate change science and slow the transition to renewable energy. These examples show that powerful industries often work to protect their financial interests, even when faced with technologies that could benefit society as a whole. In the shadowy world of special operations, Navy SEALs are renowned for their elite training, unwavering courage, and ability to thrive in the most challenging and dangerous environments imaginable. Yet, beyond their legendary feats of valor and precision, there exists a realm of mystery and intrigue where tales of the unexplained and the extraordinary lurk in the shadows. In recent years, a growing number of Navy SEALs have come forward to share their accounts of mysterious encounters and inexplicable phenomena experienced during their illustrious careers. These stories, shrouded in secrecy and often shared only among trusted comrades, offer a tantalizing glimpse into a world beyond the ordinary, where the boundaries of reality blur and the unknown beckons. From encounters with mythical sea creatures in the depths of the ocean to inexplicable sightings in the remote corners of the globe, these Navy SEALs have witnessed firsthand the mysteries that lie beyond the reach of conventional explanation. Their stories captivate the imagination, inspiring wonder and curiosity, while challenging the limits of what we know and understand about the world around us. The Solomon Islands, nestled in the South Pacific, are known for their stunning natural beauty and rich cultural heritage. However, these idyllic islands are also home to tales of mysterious creatures and ancient legends that have intrigued locals and visitors alike for generations. Among these legends is the story of the Adaro, a mythical sea creature said to inhabit the waters surrounding the Solomon Islands. One particular tale of a Navy SEAL encountering an Adaro off the coast of the Solomon Islands has captured the imagination of believers and skeptics alike. According to the account that was posted to social media, a team of elite Navy SEALs was conducting a routine reconnaissance mission in the waters near the Solomon Islands when they encountered an unexpected and terrifying sight. As the team navigated their boat through the crystal clear waters, they noticed a disturbance on the surface not far from their location. Intrigued, they steered closer to investigate, expecting to encounter nothing more than a school of fish or perhaps a playful pod of dolphins. However, as they drew nearer, the team was shocked to see a strange figure emerge from the depths below. Standing tall and imposing, the creature appeared to be a bizarre hybrid of man and fish, with scales covering its humanoid form and webbed appendages protruding from its limbs. Its eyes glowed with light as it fixated its gaze on the startled seals. Instinctively, the team reached for their weapons, prepared to defend themselves against this unknown threat. But before they could react, the Adaro vanished beneath the waves, leaving the seals shaken but unharmed. The encounter left a lasting impression on the Navy SEALs, who struggled to reconcile their training and expertise with the inexplicable sight they had witnessed. Some dismissed the encounter as a trick of the light or a figment of their imagination, while others were convinced that they had come face to face with a creature straight out of myth and legend. For believers, the encounter with the Adaro serves as further evidence of the mysteries that lie beneath the surface of the world's oceans. They point to similar accounts from cultures around the globe, all describing encounters with creatures that defy explanation and challenge our understanding of the natural world. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue that tales of mythical sea creatures are nothing more than folklore and superstition, perpetuated by imaginative storytellers and embellished over time. They suggest that the Navy SEALs may have encountered a rare or previously unknown species of marine life, rather than a mythical creature straight out of legend. Regardless of one's beliefs, the story of the Navy SEALs' encounter with the Adaro continues to spark debate and speculation among enthusiasts of the unknown. For some, it is a tantalizing glimpse into a world of ancient mysteries and hidden truths waiting to be discovered. For others, it is simply another example of the power of human imagination to conjure fantastical tales from the depths of the unknown. For centuries, the indigenous peoples of the Solomon Islands have shared stories of sightings and interactions with mermaids. Known as Adaro in the local dialect, these merfolk are revered as guardians of the sea, possessing both the beauty of terrestrial creatures and the mystical powers of the ocean. According to ancient legends passed down through oral tradition, the Adaro are said to be beings of ethereal grace, with shimmering scales that glint in the sunlight and long flowing hair that trails behind them like strands of liquid silver. The lore surrounding the Adaro is rich and varied, with stories recounting their benevolent deeds as protectors of marine life and harbingers of good fortune for those who honor the sanctity of the sea. Tales are told of fishermen who have been guided to bountiful fishing grounds by the gentle whispers of Adaro voices, and sailors who have been rescued from the brink of disaster by the timely intervention of these mysterious beings. Yet, alongside these tales of benevolence, there are also darker legends that speak of the Adaro's wrath and the perils of crossing their domain. According to local law, those who dare to disrespect the sanctity of the ocean or harm its inhabitants may incur the Adaro's vengeance, invoking curses and calamities upon themselves and their communities. In one chilling account, a group of fishermen who ventured too close to a sacred Adaro grotto were beset by a sudden and violent storm, their boat tossed about like a toy in the tempestuous waves. Miraculously, they survived the ordeal, but upon returning to shore, they found their village ravaged by floods and their crops decimated by plague, leading many to believe that they had incurred the wrath of the merfolk. Despite the skepticism of modern science, the tales of the Adaro endure as a testament to the enduring power of myth and the profound connection between humanity and the natural world. Whether viewed as purely folklore or as glimpses into a hidden realm beyond our comprehension, the stories of the Adaro continue to captivate the imagination and inspire wonder in all who hear them. In recent years, reports of sightings and encounters with the Adaro have continued to surface, fueling speculation and intrigue among locals and outsiders alike. Fishermen returning from their expeditions at sea have reported glimpses of shimmering figures darting beneath the waves, their graceful movements leaving trails of phosphorescent light in their wake. In one particularly compelling account, a group of divers exploring the coral reefs near Guadalcanal claimed to have encountered a pod of Adaro swimming gracefully among the vibrant marine life. According to their testimony, the merfolk appeared curious yet cautious, observing the divers from a distance before disappearing into the depths with a flick of their powerful tails. While skeptics may dismiss these accounts as mere fantasy or hallucination, many islanders remain steadfast in their belief in the existence of the Adaro, viewing them as integral to the rich tapestry of Solomon Islands' culture and heritage. Whether real or imagined, the mysteries of the Adaro continue to intrigue and inspire wonder, reminding us of the boundless depths of the ocean and the secrets that lie hidden beneath its shimmering surface. Mermaid sightings, though often dismissed as mere myth or fantasy by skeptics and scientists, persist across cultures and continents, weaving a tapestry of tales that hint at a deeper truth lurking beneath the surface of the seas. From the icy waters of the North Atlantic to the tropical reefs of the South Pacific, reports of encounters with mermaids continue to emerge, defying rational explanation and challenging our understanding of the natural world. One of the most compelling accounts of mermaid sightings comes from the coastal waters of the Faroe Islands, a remote archipelago nestled in the North Atlantic Ocean. Here, amidst the rugged cliffs and swirling mists, fishermen have reported sightings of mermaids known as selkies, believed to be shape-shifting creatures capable of transforming from seals into human form. According to local lore, selkies are said to emerge from the depths on moonlit nights, their haunting songs luring unsuspecting sailors to their watery graves. Tales are told of fishermen who have glimpsed these mysterious beings frolicking in the waves, their sleek forms gliding effortlessly through the frigid waters before vanishing into the depths once more. In the warm waters of the Caribbean, another legend of mermaid sightings holds sway, with reports of encounters dating back centuries. Known as sirenas in Spanish, these mermaids are said to inhabit the coral reefs and turquoise lagoons that dot the coastlines of the region, their enchanting songs drawing sailors and adventurers into their midst. In one famous account, recorded by Spanish explorers in the 16th century, sailors claimed to have encountered a group of sirenas off the coast of Cuba, their melodious voices beckoning the men to shore with promises of love and treasure. Yet, as the sailors drew closer, the sirenas vanished beneath the waves, leaving behind only echoes of their haunting song. While skeptics may attribute mermaid sightings to misidentification of marine animals or the tricks of the light, many who have encountered these elusive beings remain steadfast in their belief in their existence. Tales of mermaids have persisted across cultures and civilizations for millennia, suggesting a deep-seated human fascination with the mysteries of the sea. In recent years, advances in technology have only served to deepen the enigma surrounding mermaid sightings, with reports of encounters captured on camera and shared across social media. From grainy footage of shimmering figures seen darting beneath the waves to eyewitness accounts documented in blogs and forums, the evidence of mermaids' existence continues to mount, challenging skeptics and skeptics alike to reconsider their assumptions about the natural world. In 1971, the National Geographic Institute of Costa Rica undertook the creation of an aerial map focusing on the Arenal region, encompassing Lake Cote, as an integral component of the surveying efforts conducted on behalf of the Electricity Institute. In the subsequent years of that particular decade, Costa Rica undertook the ambitious project of constructing a dam on a river, leading to the inundation of a significant portion of the surrounding area in order to form Lake Arenal. This reservoir now serves as a crucial source of hydroelectric power for the nation, playing a pivotal role in meeting its energy needs. During the preparatory phase, Sergio Loaiza, Juan Bravo and Francisco Reyes embarked on a small aircraft equipped with a cartographic camera fixed to the floor. Their aerial journey took them to an altitude of 10,000 feet, where the camera systematically recorded a fresh image every 13 seconds. This meticulous process allowed for the creation of detailed and precise aerial maps for further analysis and planning. After a period had passed, the photographers took the photographs they had captured and proceeded to develop and magnify them. During this process, they observed something out of the ordinary in a particular photo taken at Lake Cote. The photograph capturing a saucer-shaped object hovering above Costa Rica has garnered significant attention from various media platforms and has been extensively circulated on Twitter. This black and white image, depicting the unidentified flying object, has stirred curiosity and speculation among viewers worldwide. The general public asserts that this particular image captures what is considered to be the most exceptional photograph of an unidentified flying object often associated with extraterrestrial beings in recorded history. This remarkable shot was taken by the skilled aerial photographer Sergio Loaiza in the month of September in the year 1971. He captured this extraordinary moment while flying over the mesmerizing landscapes of Costa Rica during a photography mission designed to gather data for a hydroelectric project. This noteworthy event has been documented in a detailed report published by multiple news outlets, shedding light on the intriguing circumstances surrounding the sighting and the subsequent photograph. The initiative was strategically located in close proximity to the majestic Arenal volcano situated in a South American nation. In the image, positioned on the right side, there is a peculiar saucer-shaped object that appears metallic in nature. Its presence lacks a clear and straightforward explanation, thus rendering it unidentified not just at the time of observation, but persisting as an enigma. Furthermore, the existence of UFOs was challenging to discredit. The anomaly in the photo did not show up in any previous or subsequent images, indicating that it probably did not result from debris on the camera lens. Further examination of the picture revealed that there had been no modifications made to it. This careful scrutiny suggested that the anomaly was genuinely captured by the camera and not a result of any external interference or editing. With the aid of a top-of-the-line professional camera operated by an experienced crew, the photograph was captured, thereby bolstering its credibility. Mr. Loaiza captured a series of high-resolution photographs while situated at an elevation of 10,000 feet, showcasing the lake beneath and the lush rainforest that enveloped it. Employing his sophisticated 100-pound automated camera, he meticulously documented the scenery at precise 20-second intervals. In a particular frame captured, a gleaming metallic disc is observed in motion amidst Mr. Loaiza's Aero Commander aircraft and the Earth below. Initially, the photo lacked clarity, yet speculations regarding unidentified flying objects only began to circulate once the image was subsequently enhanced. Upon closer inspection, the mysterious object appeared to traverse the airspace, prompting debates and curiosity surrounding its origin and nature. The photograph in question belonged to the National Geographic Costa Rica organization, which commissioned the survey to assess the potential repercussions of the hydroelectric scheme on the nearby environment and water sources. This particular image was utilized specifically for the purpose of analyzing the effects of the project on the surrounding land and aquatic resources. Esteban Carranza, a Costa Rican resident, has recently made public a document previously undisclosed to the public. This document is a duplicate of the original negative found in the National Archives of Costa Rica. Interestingly, Mr. Carranza came into possession of this historical artifact through his uncle, who had secured it from the National Geographic Institute. This revelation sheds new light on the provenance and significance of the document, adding a layer of intrigue to its origins and raising questions about its historical relevance. Mr. Carranza highlighted that he had generated a high-resolution scan of the image the previous year, engaging with individuals from the National Geographic Institute and identifying the technician responsible for the camera used in 1971. He expressed his belief that it was not enough for the image to merely occupy space on his computer. According to him, disclosure should be a collaborative endeavor involving everyone, emphasizing the importance of making the image accessible to all. This tweet underscores the collaborative nature of sharing information and the necessity for inclusivity in the process. It sheds light on the significance of teamwork in making valuable content available for all to benefit from, promoting transparency. The media outlet known as UAP Media, which featured the image in question, asserts that there has never been a successful refutation of its authenticity up to the present time. In the course of time, a multitude of experts, including individuals like Ricardo Vilches, a UFO researcher from Costa Rica, and renowned professionals such as Dr. Richard Haynes and Dr. Jacques Vallée, have scrutinized the image meticulously. Their collective assessment pointed towards the authenticity of the object captured in the photograph, ruling out any possibilities of it being a result of double exposure or an intentional deception. This affirmation was emphasized by UAP Media on their website, highlighting the unequivocal nature of the experts' conclusions that the object depicted was indeed genuine. The item depicted in the image is believed to have a diameter ranging from approximately 120 to 220 feet. Nestled between the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, Costa Rica's lush landscapes and vibrant biodiversity have long captivated the imagination of travelers and explorers. Yet, beyond its natural wonders, lies a lesser-known phenomenon that has intrigued and perplexed observers for decades: UFO sightings. Throughout the years, residents and visitors alike have reported witnessing unidentified flying objects traversing the skies above Costa Rica. Eyewitness testimonies describe encounters with objects exhibiting unconventional flight characteristics, such as sudden maneuvers, rapid acceleration, and silent propulsion. These sightings have occurred in various regions of the country, from densely populated urban areas to remote rural landscapes. One of the most famous UFO sightings in Costa Rica occurred when a group of schoolchildren in the town of Atinas observed a disc-shaped object hovering silently above their schoolyard. The children, along with their teacher, watched in awe as the mysterious object remained stationary in the sky before vanishing without a trace. In subsequent years, numerous reports of UFO sightings have emerged from different regions of Costa Rica, including sightings over national parks, rural villages, and coastal areas. Witnesses describe encountering objects of various shapes and sizes, ranging from luminous orbs to metallic discs, further adding to the intrigue surrounding these sightings. In response to the growing number of UFO sightings, scientific organizations and research groups in Costa Rica have undertaken investigations to study these phenomena. The Costa Rican Institute of UFO Studies and the National Institute for Aerospace Research have conducted studies to analyze eyewitness testimonies, collect photographic evidence, and investigate the potential causes of UFO sightings. One notable initiative was the establishment of a UFO hotline by the Costa Rican Institute of UFO Studies, allowing individuals to report sightings and share their experiences with trained investigators. Through systematic data collection and analysis, researchers have sought to uncover patterns, trends, and anomalies in UFO sightings, shedding light on the underlying factors driving these mysterious encounters. Despite efforts to study and document UFO phenomena, many questions remain unanswered, and the true nature of these sightings continues to elude scientific explanation. While some researchers attribute UFO sightings to natural phenomena, such as atmospheric anomalies or celestial events, others entertain the possibility of extraterrestrial origins or advanced technological capabilities beyond human understanding. The prevalence of UFO sightings in Costa Rica has left an indelible mark on the country's cultural landscape, inspiring artistic expressions, folklore, and community traditions. UFO-themed festivals, conferences, and exhibitions draw enthusiasts and curious onlookers from around the world, fostering a sense of wonder and camaraderie among those intrigued by the mysteries of the cosmos.